And welcome to today's podcast. Today, we're actually talking about skin as a system, which also happens to be the name of our podcast. So I'm Samantha, and with me, as always, is the lovely Kelly Tracy-Holly. She is our advanced esthetician, certified medical laser technician, and also the clinical mind and formulator behind Results by Nature.
Hello, hello.
Hello. So today what we're going to do is we're going to just jump into a conversation I think is aptly titled today's episode of Skin as a System, because for us, that has been the backbone or the foundation of our company, even though we haven't used those words specifically, but we've always taken in that as a concept, the context behind everything that we're doing. And now we're moving into context-based aesthetics, right? So I love the name Skin as a System. So what we're going to do is talk about specifically the word sensitive today, how it gets used constantly, whether that's in a clinic, a med spa, any advanced esthetician office or esthetician office, on product labels, self-diagnoses. You see it all over Instagram, or I do anyway, people talking about sensitive skin. But Kelly and I have been talking about this for a long while. And so we've come to understand that what people are actually calling sensitive isn't always actually a skin type in the way that they think, right? So
Yes.
before we dive in, I'm going to have Kelly really go with this.
Absolutely. So the first thing really that is important is most people think that their skin is sensitive because their skin reacts to something, like gets red really fast, is itchy, is irritated. And that's not really sensitive skin. That's a compromised skin barrier, because true sensitive skin is really a genetic predisposition. It's structural. You're actually born with a thinner stratum corneum, which is the outside layer of the skin, less melanin production. So usually very, very fair skinned. A nervous system that fires more easily. So prone to histamine reactions, mast cell syndrome, where pretty much anything sets you off. Fragrances can set you off. Any type of product can set you off, where you get hives or itching or just pretty extreme redness. So it's completely different. Most skin types are skin conditions. So it's really what I see in the treatment room is something different. It's really not sensitive skin that I see. It's barrier destabilization. So, and the two are completely different things. Not the same at all. Most people that think their skin is sensitive, it's actually that their barrier is compromised.
Interesting. Okay. So that's one thing that I kind of want to hone in and kind of repeat for everyone, because I remember way back when I came to you and my skin was all crazy and I had normally been compromised.
Yes.
I'm sorry, not compromised, combination. And my hormones were all out of whack. And then I thought that all of a sudden I had developed sensitive skin. And that's when you were like, you're not sensitive. Your barrier is just under like a full destabilization, or it's collapsed. Yeah, it's like it's
Yes.
attacking itself, girl. We got to get this under control. But okay, so can you repeat that part? I think that's the key, right? Understanding between whether or not you're really looking at someone who is sensitive skin versus someone who really has a barrier that is fully tapped out.
Right. So it's really understanding that sensitive skin is a type that you're born with, and a stabilized barrier is a state that you develop. So that's why people think, I've used products for a long time, I haven't had a problem, and now all of a sudden I have a problem. So now you're going from, like you said, combination skin type, or skin types that have never had an issue, have been very balanced, all of a sudden to destabilized skin barrier, and then they think it's turned into sensitive skin. But a very, very small population actually has sensitive skin. I think it's only like 1% to 2%.
Oh, wow. Okay. So I know, like, kind of as a segue, not to label or to kind of put people in boxes, but is it true we talk about fair skin, like very fair skin, like very like porcelain, fair skin? Is it true that like someone who has really fair skin, red hair, they're more prone to having a sensitive type, or is that that doesn't play a factor into it whatsoever.
So, when you're talking about it being a genetic disposition, very, very fair skin can play into that genetic disposition of sensitive skin. But I have, and it's what we call basically Fitzpatrick skin types 1 and 2, the very, very lightest of the spectrum. I have clients that have very, very fair skin that have very resilient, very stable skin barriers that basically can do pretty much any treatment that I give them.
Nice. Okay. Interesting. As you know, as education comes out and, you know, as you learn more and as you kind of deep dive and like me as like a consumer as well as a client, like I just find it all fascinating. So I just always like to look at that.
Well, and this is what's so important and why we're discussing and why we've created this podcast, right? Skin is a system because it used to be, oh, if you have this, then you have this, or if you have this, then you have this. And everything was so system treated.
Right.
And now, really, it's the education is getting so, it's going so much deeper. And there's so much more understanding when you're understanding that skin is not symptoms. It's actually the whole system. And it's usually those systems that completely trigger what's going on with the skin.
Right. It's the communication layer.
Yes.
Essentially is what we're saying is the communication layer. It's what's giving you the feedback of what's happening internally.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So
Exactly.
then walk us through what is actually happening when that barrier destabilizes. So, because it's like I'm a very visual person, I know you're a very visual person. So, if people are hearing this, they're listening to this and they're wanting to think structural, like a wall breaking down or something deeper or more, you know, is it more deep? Is it deeper or more personal than that? So, like, if I create a visual and I think, okay, if the skin is healthy and it's stable, and then all of a sudden things start to break down, I kind of look at it like a structure, like a house, you know. In dentistry, for example, we would use something like if you had active decay and needed a crown, you know, you're looking at the foundation before you can start. You're looking at the foundation of your gums and the overall health before you're starting to look at restoration. So the same with the skin is like kind of visual. Can you kind of walk us through that?
So, obviously, or not obviously, we actually have several layers of skin. And so, really, your skin barrier, your stratum corneum, the outside layer, is really essentially a brick and mortar structure. And so, the cells are the bricks, the lipids, the ceramides, the fatty acids, cholesterols, those are the mortar. And so,
Mhm.
when the barrier's healthy, it does two things simultaneously: keeps water in and it keeps irritants out. So that's where the term trans epidermal water loss comes in. And that's one of like the clues, so to speak, that something's starting to break down in the skin barrier. Because if we're starting to have all of that trans epidermal water loss from the surface of the skin, then that is breaking down our barrier. And then guess what? Irritants are going to come in. And then that's where we're going to start seeing symptoms: inflammation, acne, hives, irritated redness,
Mhm.
inflammation, things like that.
Okay, yeah.
So obviously when there's destabilization, or when the skin barrier destabilizes, when it's imbalanced, both of those functions start failing. So water loss increases, the skin becomes permeable to things that shouldn't be crossing that barrier again. So letting all those irritants in. And then the immune response fires. So again, all of that redness, stinging, inflammation. And here's kind of where people start to not understand the immune response. And so they think that because they're having an immune response, it's sensitivity. And again, it's not true sensitivity. It's actually, yes, they're going to be irritated and sensitive to products, right? And ingredients. But
Mhm.
again, it's just that compromised skin barrier. So stabilize the skin barrier, sensitivity then declines.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense because if I go back to my own experience or if I kind of transport myself back in that time of that hormonal chaos of infertility and pumping my body full of synthetic hormones to get it to do what it needed to do. The hives, God, the hives were like atrocious. Like it
Yes.
was the most miserable thing.
I could barely touch you.
Yeah, it's like, so that makes sense to me that things have broken down to such a state that anything that it could once kind of repel or bounce off, your skin bounces it off, is like, nope, it just like sucks in. It's like a leaky roof or
Right.
something. So it's just going to take in whatever is going to it's going to just take in whatever irritant or whatever compromise, because it's not strong enough at that moment to kind of rebound and push that away. So that's interesting. Okay. What are some of the things that, I mean, I know we've talked about it in the past, but what are some of the things that actually create destabilization? So, I mean, obviously something like infertility would, but what do you see most often in your experience, like when you're treating clients?
Two of the biggest things if we're talking, so let's talk outer, right? So surface
Yeah.
of the skin, and talk inner as well. And so the biggest thing outer wise is over exfoliation and too many actives being compounded and used. And so those are the biggest things. Clients come in all the time and it's like, my skin's so sensitive and it's red all the time. And I think I have rosacea and all of these things. And literally, one of the first questions I ask is, what products are you using and how many times a day do you exfoliate? And sorry, not times a day, times a week, but also times a day. Are you doing your skincare routine twice a day? And are you exfoliating both of those times? And then tell me, what actives are you using? Are you using alpha hydroxys, beta hydroxys to keep acne down or to keep exfoliation going? Are you using any products with retinoids in it to increase cellular turnover? And so many times I hear, oh, yeah, I'm exfoliating 2 to 3 times a week, and I'm using a glycolic cleanser or a salicylic cleanser, and, I'm using my retinols, at night before bed, and a scrub a couple times a week. And I'm
Wow.
like, "Okay, right there, that just tells me." Like, without even going any further, I know now that we've got a topical issue. And so that's where education comes in. Exfoliation once a week, depending what their skin type is, then backing off on all of the drying, over exfoliating products, pulling those back. And then depending on time of year and strength of their retinol products, if is it an ingredient or is that prescription strength? And so basically we start to tweak the routine and pull a bunch of that stuff back so that we can start actually putting nutrients, moisture, hydration back into the skin to balance out that barrier. With that being said, there's also so many internal things that can be combined with
Yeah,
this that
definitely.
plays a huge role. Stress, cortisol, not drinking enough water, drinking too much alcohol, so many of the
Sugar too, right? Sugar. If you eat a lot of sugar, I
sugar is
mean, I know
huge.
people say, oh, yeah, but sometimes I don't think we kind of realize how much sugar we ingest just in like normal everyday things that we wouldn't think have sugar in them.
It's
Yeah.
in everything processed,
Yeah.
everything processed.
Okay.
And, not everybody can stay away from that, from processed foods. And the thing is like, I think it's just getting smarter reading food labels and getting smarter reading skincare product labels to know, just to really know and be familiar with your ingredients and what they actually are.
Yeah. So you touch on something that's interesting and fascinating. I mean, we have the internal stuff that you're looking at. So you're kind of they're a white when a client comes in, they're kind of like a white slate, right? They're just an open slate where you're looking at the outer stuff, the stuff that you can see visually. You take in what they're using or doing on a daily, weekly, monthly basis to their skin. Because not only just the every day, every week, it's when's the last time you had microneedling, or when's the last time you had a laser treatment, or when's the last time you had a peel, or when, because that factors too. But then you're also like, okay, well, tell me what's happening internally. Has anything changed in your routine? Has anything changed in your eating habits? Has anything changed in your home environment? There's like all these multiple layers, but what you touched on in particular that I want you to drill down on a little bit more is why, in your professional opinion, do you think people are in a state now that they think they need all these actives to get a certain result? Like, what's happened with that, with the over treatment, the overactives, the over exfoliation? Like, where did that come from, in your
It's all
opinion?
media and access to social media. It's hit the trends. I need to have this. I need to look perfect. I have to have the beautiful body. In past decades, we had television, which was limited for advertising, not as many commercials advertising beauty products because it wasn't such a big industry. No access to social media. There were magazines, of course,
Mhm.
but it wasn't look perfect, be perfect society like we are now. And
Yeah.
really, really, that's what's pushed it. And so you have to have the latest product. You have to have best. Everything has to be for perfect, and it has to be obtained quickly. So, it takes a long period of time, or a longer period of time than just I'm going to start using this product and in 2 days or 7 days or 10 days, my skin is going to look amazing, like the filters and the magazines and the influencers and all the things.
Mhm.
And I think subconsciously we just don't realize that there's filters, there's injectables, there's facelifts, there's people with easy access to copious amounts of dollars in order to get treatments
Mhm.
every single month to in order for have the upkeep. And I think also too, just innately as humans, we want what we can't have. We want what someone else has. And not even saying that in a negative way. It's just kind of how we're wired. Like, she looks beautiful, he looks beautiful. Look at those high cheekbones. My goodness, the forehead is flawless. Like, just wanting to obtain and be like somebody else and be a part of that beauty society is really, I think, where it's an overabundance of mass marketing is what it is.
Yeah. I on threads can see like other estheticians going, if you would stop getting your advice from the latest trend or the latest expert, quote unquote, which I find interesting because estheticians and skin therapists and doctors and dermatologists, they're well aware. You are all well aware. It's like the dentist, we know if you don't floss regularly. We know. It's just
Right.
we can tell. You're not pulling one over, but and then like a hairstylist, they can tell if you're professionally coloring your hair versus not. And so it's just an interesting dichotomy in time that we're living in. But I think that there's a little bit of a shift happening where people are recognizing that, more natural, realizing that they need to take ingredients into consideration, that they do want to pair themselves with an esthetician that has ingredient literacy. That's what we've named it, ingredient literacy, to understand the mechanisms of how ingredients function on the skin. But then also, I think some people are realizing that just like when we start to eat healthy and strength train and do the things physically, it takes time. So it's the same with, a skin barrier that's been compromised when we've not treated it well. I mean, we can kind of look at that across any kind of situation when you work, 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 and then you deplete yourself. You make yourself sick, or you stress, 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 worry, 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 and you work yourself into a mess to where your body says, I'm done. Same with your skin, you know? So it's like it's cross discipline. It really is.
It is. And it's understanding. And I use so many times in my clinic the analogy of really going to the gym. Most of my clients are very fit and healthy. They eat healthy and they work out consistently. So, but for some reason, there's that disconnect of that consistency and that slow period and patience that comes with treating your skin how you treat your gut and how you treat your muscles in your body. And I use that analogy all the time. It's like you can't be eating burgers and fries all the time and drinking milkshakes and then all of a sudden eat a healthy meal one day or eat 3 healthy meals in one day and expect to lose weight or to calm your gut inflammation. And same thing like with the gym. You can go in the gym and yes, you can pump weights and blood flow goes to your muscle, your bicep, right? And it
Yeah.
does look bigger that day, but it's because you've got good muscle flow because you've been lifting heavy, but it's not going to stay if you're not consistent with it. And it
Yeah.
doesn't build overnight. You don't just go and then like you're buff the next day.
Right.
So, and the skin really works in the same way. We've got cellular cycles. And so with those cellular cycles, 28 to 45 days, depending on which age bracket you're in, that really kind of dictates that as well. So there's science, biological science, that needs to be understood so that it can be understood how the body works or how the skin works. And then that timetable becomes more comprehensive.
Yeah. It reminds me of listening actually to a podcast about a week ago. It talked about how water flows effortlessly. It doesn't need a structured plan. It just knows what to do. And so it carves mountains, carves riverbeds, it carves streams, it carves rock. It just, the analogy of that, of like your body has an innate intelligence that knows what to do when it's placed in the proper foundation, if you will, or in the proper space to
Right.
heal the way it needs to heal,
Yes,
because it intuitively knows what to do. Like
exactly.
we're taking our body while we're sleeping, our body is performing thousands of processes without us ever thinking about it or trying to control it. It just does it automatically. Like when you think about the magnitude of that, it's mind blowing. It's like
It is.
and it's automatic and you never think about it. And so your skin, your body, your health has that innate ability when it's fostered and supported in a healthy manner. You know, like you said, if you're not consistent at the gym, those results kind of fall back. But when you are consistent with the gym, there's all these statistics and I don't know them, but like your body like decreases its biological age exponential amount just by the small effort of doing 30 minutes of walking three
Right.
times a week.
Right. Or
It's
the
it
sunshine that we get,
yeah.
just body movement, being out in nature, getting sunshine, all getting the proper amount of sleep, changing your
That's
dirty pillowcase.
yeah.
Well,
It's like, going back to a dental reference, 98% of dental disease is preventable. It just is. And the gums in particular they heal very fast. So it's just fascinating. It just, all of that is fascinating to me, biology and nature and how that works. Yeah.
mhm,
So I love that. I love that. And I do agree. I do think that when our skin, excuse me, has been functioning so well, and then all of a sudden it's not working, it's not absorbing products, it's breaking out, or you're red, or whatever the case might be, your skin is like highly reactive for some reason. There is that kind of logically, it makes sense to, grab for whatever product is to counterbalance that. It makes sense to me logically. Um,
like, why is my face so red? Or why am I itchy? Or no, why do I have 3 new pimples? Or like, where did
mhm,
this cystic acne come from? And the thing is like, our mind thinks that it came from overnight, that because we didn't have it, and then the next day we see symptoms.
mhm.
But it's been brewing. The system has been brewing. The gut's been brewing. Over exfoliation has been happening over and over again. So it's not really instantaneous, even though it goes from no symptoms to here are symptoms. And so our brain wants to think, well, if we go from nothing and then now all of a sudden we're broke out,
Right.
then why can't I go from all of a sudden broke out to not being broke out and by using something. And so we're trying to find that quick fix or that perfect ingredient or that perfect product to minimize what has actually taken longer to come through instead of what just came through from the night.
Right, right. Is that I think that's where it gets really confusing. The timeline is delayed. So, you know, You're not reacting to what you use today. I mean, usually you're not reacting to what happened today. You're reacting to a whole bunch of things, and it kind of accumulates and it piles up. It's like when you do laundry and then you let the clothes sit in the dryer and you do another load of laundry and you add those clothes to the dryer, but you've not actually taken the clothes out of the dryer and folded them. So it's
Exactly.
yeah.
So it
So
just gets
anyway,
really, really stuffed.
yeah. And then you have to fold them.
Exactly. Because there's no more room.
There is no more room at the end for that.
Yeah. Well, then that's when we come to the point and our skin comes to the point. And what I hear in clinic all the time is I've tried everything and nothing is working
Mhm.
because you've tried everything and not given it time to let something work because we want that instant gratification. We do,
Yeah.
especially when it comes to how we look or what's going on with our skin. And so it's a hard one.
Yeah. That's an interesting point too. And so, like, what's the typical timeline that if you were to try a new product, how long should you be trying it to give it like a fair shot?
So there's all different timelines depending on the type of product. So there's a different timeline for your AHA, BHA, highly, highly actives. There's a different timeline for your ceramides, and lipids, and peptides. Different timelines for vitamin C. And so I have a great chart that I actually just put out on my social media listing all of those things. Rather than be so confusing to my clients, like I have that kind of as a reference point for them to show them. But realistically, I say starting any new product, 12 weeks. Go through
Wow.
three skin cycles, 12.
Okay.
And so because someone that's in the younger age category, one cycle, they've got good shedding skin, good healthy skin, good resilient skin. Let's say all the good things, balanced barrier, they're probably going to see results quicker.
Hmm.
Someone in the older age categories, cellular turnover is only about every 42 to every 45 days. So now we've just piled 2 extra weeks on top of that. So we're looking now, instead of 4 weeks, we're looking at 6 weeks. So that's only one cycle for the skin. Also takes longer for the new healthy skin cells to develop. So I say 2 skin cycles. So basically, it's 12 weeks no matter what. And
Okay.
I'm one of those clinicians that when somebody comes in and they don't have a great skincare line or they want to supplement something in their skincare line, um, I only allow them to try one or maybe two new products at a time. They don't get any more than that because we
Okay.
need to see how those products are working. If one of them is not going to work, we're going to have to pull things back. If I give them 5 new products because they want to start a whole new product line and they happen to have a reaction or something to one of them, we don't know which one it is. So now we have to pull all of them back. So really, and then that's going to take longer.
Mm-hmm.
And so you start with one product. There's always education on why and which one we choose.
Hmm.
And then we give that time. I won't always wait 3 months depending on what it is. I mean, if it's an active, probably because I want to see that accumulation. If it's a cleanser, 2 to 4 weeks, okay, fine. As long as it's not a cleanser that has super stripping or has super highly actives in it again.
Hmm.
Lipids and ceramides, always, always, I say a longer period of time. It just takes a longer amount of time to see some really good results
Okay. Interesting and fascinating. Yeah.
underneath the
So
skin.
yeah. So
Yes.
it was like a reaction to something in the makeup. Stopped using the makeup and it was gone within a couple of days. But
Oh,
yeah,
no.
I mean, yeah. So like on the opposite side of the spectrum, if someone were to use a product and they had a reaction immediately, then what? What do they do?
So obviously stop use.
Yeah.
That's first and foremost. And then without me doing a proper skin analysis and seeing what it is it an actual reaction? So you're actually having little hives, or all of a sudden it caused you to break out, or there's inflammation, or is it milia? So it's got dead skin cells and sebaceous filament where it's all blocked now and it can't come out, or all of a sudden is it pustular acne? Like there's so many different things. And so first and foremost, the biggest thing is you just need to stop using it. And then
Right.
obviously, depending on what the reaction is, would depend on what I would prescribe the client doing in order to try and calm, soothe, and basically get that skin barrier back into shape.
Yeah, that's a good point. Because the reason I mention that is because, I had the opportunity to, talk to a hairstylist and talk to different people in different fields. And, they'll usually ask me something about skin, and you find out really quick that they've been product hopping. And I'm like, okay, first you need to stop doing that. You
Yes.
don't actually know what's causing the problem because you're moving around too much to all these different products. And you haven't been using any one product for any real period of time to be able to ascertain if that's the culprit or if it's something else.
Right.
Yeah. So it's just always fascinating. I think it kind of goes in line with that. We're wanting like a quick fix, and it just doesn't work that way. And we just have to accept that.
Right.
You just have to accept it.
Slow and steady. Slow and steady.
Slow and steady.
Yep.
Well, for today, I think that the main things, what I would want people to take away from our conversation is that if your skin is reactive or if it feels sensitive, the first question isn't, what do I add to try to counterbalance this? It's, is there anything in my routine or anything that I'm doing that is destabilizing or contributing to this reactivity or this sensitivity? And then, of course, consulting their skincare professional. I think that shift alone would change how they're approaching their skin. But for you as a clinician, what do you want? What do you want people to take away from our conversation today?
Honestly, I think the biggest thing is understanding the difference between sensitivity and destabilized skin barrier. Like, that's a huge piece of the education because I think a lot of that can cut down frustration and understanding that because sensitive skin, we think it's now a lifetime thing.
Mm,
I have sensitive skin now and I'm going to go through the rest of my life having sensitive skin. Whereas if it's a destabilized skin barrier, that is fixable, so to speak,
yeah,
balanceable, right?
balanceable.
Stabilizable is
Yeah,
stabilized.
stabilize. Yeah, I like that. Yeah.
So it can be stabilized. So there's a light at the end of the tunnel. So it's really knowing the difference between those two. And then the next biggest thing is just like really what you said. Don't product hop. Like, you're spending so much money product hopping, trend hopping, trying to get the latest and greatest, be the latest and greatest, look the latest and greatest, but also finding something, especially if there is a skin condition. This one's not working, so I'm going to go to the next one. So I'm going to go to the next one. So I'm going to go to the next one. And so many times I hear, I don't have the money to see an esthetician, but an esthetician can help you solve your problem so much quicker and save you so much more money that, like, even if you just get online and have a consultation rather than going in for a treatment, like, stop product hopping, do a consultation with someone who has the education. They can look at your skin and talk to you about skin as a system and whole body. You're going to save a lot of money, a lot of time, and a lot of frustration.
Nice. I think that's worldly advice that we can all take into consideration. Nice. Well, today that concludes our episode as Skin as a System. And so if you joined us, if you happen across our podcast on Spotify, we would love for you to go ahead and share that with anyone that you would find it helpful. Also, you can find us on socials. Our handles are at Results by Nature. If you want to contact us directly, you can always email us at hello@resultsbynature.com. Read and respond. Kelly and I read and respond to every email and comment ourselves. If you're a practitioner and something we said made you think this is happening in my treatment room, you can always DM us pro on Instagram because we want to hear it from you. But you can also email us as well at hello@resultsbynature. And then Kelly has a surprise for next week.
And what's that surprise? Wait, you telling me that I have a surprise? What is it?
Yeah.
Is it my
Next,
birthday?
yeah, no.
No, it's not.
Next week, we're going to go into something that you are seeing in the treatment room that almost no one has a clear answer for. And so most specifically why skin suddenly stops responding to products that used to work. And the hint is it's not the products.
You let the secret out of the bag.
Thanks for joining us today. Bye.
Bye.